So welcome everybody back to Forza Horizon 5, and once again we're on online racing, and yeah, we're going to be dealing with the MG6 XPower from 2021. So yeah, I really like this car. It's easily one of my favourite cars to be added to the game by the Forza Festival playlist. And yeah, the stats are all pretty good. Do not be taken in by the 4.9 speed, because this can actually do 183 miles an hour. Which is 15 miles an hour more than the standard car, but even so, the rest of the stats are excellent, and yeah, there's plenty of power in this car now as well. We now have 125 extra horsepower, as it's now got 425 horsepower, which is quite a lot. Obviously there are more powerful cars that you'll deal with in A-Class than that, and this is hardly the lightest at 3,448 pounds, which is slightly heavier than it was standard. That's about 53 pounds more. But that's because it now has all-wheel drive. That's the main addition in terms of weight that this car now has. Obviously it's got wider tyres, lower suspension, better brakes, more power and more torque from a slightly enlarged engine, but yeah, the all-wheel drive system is definitely the big addition to this over the standard car. Because the standard car, you know, was hardly slow or anything like that, but yeah, with that all-wheel drive system and that extra power, it's properly quick off the line. More than 2 seconds quicker to 60 at 3.367 seconds. So yeah, that is a big improvement in terms of acceleration. But it does change the handling of the car quite a bit. It's nowhere near as agile in some respects as the front-wheel drive only version. It's a little bit more cumbersome in some regards, but it's just handling characteristics that you basically have to get used to, and yeah, once you do, you can get some really rather good driving moments from this, and yeah, so let's see what we can do here. Works less well on circuits like this, to be honest. It's much more of an open road kind of car than a tightly wound circuit like this. But hopefully we won't have any issues with the people I'm driving against. That's a main bugbear of driving online, is people that you can come across. Obviously it's not everyone, and I'm hardly a saint either, but yeah, it's definitely an issue at times. Certainly ran into some people that try and take advantage of certain elements of this game, particularly when it comes to the walls at the start-finish line. People ran me into them just before we hit the finish line, and I've come to a dead stop or slowed down so much that they gain their place, which is just not right as far as I'm concerned. Keeping up with the main group here. Obviously first place has roared off. These three in front are fairly close by. People like that that try and ram you away from the checkpoints are not helpful. Brakes are very good on this, especially for a car that is obviously heavier than it was originally, so you had to improve them really, otherwise you'd be dealing with more momentum and no better brakes. It's the first time we've hit a wall. But yeah, about mid-table there, just fine enough for me, especially for a circuit like that. Like I said, where this car isn't its strongest. So yeah, it's now got a 2 litre turbocharged inline 4 engine with the electric motor and battery that powers it. So yeah, that's why it's got as much torque and horsepower as it does, because yeah, bigger engines are generally torquier. And yeah, with that turbocharger on top of that and the electric motor in the battery, yeah, it's a very torquey engine on this car, so, or power plant in general, should I say. So obviously it's not just a combustion engine in this vehicle, so yeah, that definitely helps in terms of getting out of the corners. With the all-wheel drive system, obviously that's helping keep that power and torque in check. So yeah. And yeah, it can now do 0 to 100 in 7.887 seconds, which is about very nearly 4 seconds quicker than the standard car. And yeah, it's now got 430 pound-feet of torque. So yeah, again, that's what I'm trying to work it out. 76 extra pounds-feet of torque. So that's again a really big improvement over the standard car. So yeah, even though we are obviously heavier than the other car by 58 pounds, the amount of power and the amount of torque that we've got more than makes up for that. No idea if this would be any good in, say, S1 class, but or S2 class even, which is the next one on from this, because obviously that's a whole different ball game. You're getting on hypercar levels of territory there. Obviously you have supercars in here as well. You got, you know, your Lamborghinis and stuff, but they aren't heavily upgraded, I've found. Torque to get us up these hills. Wing on the rear of this is stock, so couldn't really change any of the aero in that regard. I'll brake myself a little bit there. We don't like tight corners. Yeah, see what I mean? The Audi clearly there pushed that Lotus out of the checkpoint area, which is why they've had to rewind. I'll brake myself again into that corner. It's easy enough to do, to be honest though. Well, a slight improvement over the last race. Kind of got away with that purely because the Lotus had been pushed out of the checkpoint area. But an improvement is an improvement regardless. So yeah, top 5 there. But yeah, really do enjoy this car. It's easily one of my, like I said, favourite cars to be added to the festival playlist. And yeah, I just wish we had more cars like this that haven't been in a Forza game before. I'm all fine with cars being added to the game that we've had before. I just wish they didn't take up important parts of the game, like the festival playlist or anything like that. It should just be like rewards that you can get here and there for doing certain stuff. Like that isn't in the festival playlist, because yeah, I feel like the festival playlist should be something where you get rewarded something properly unique and something that's, you know, is worth striving for. Whereas, you know, as many as good cars have been re-added to this game from previous Forza games, I do wish that, you know, something new had been in their place. But, you know, any new cars added to the game is fine by me, even if they're not new to the series. But if I had the choice, it would be something we've never had on a Forza game before, or at least not in a Forza game for a while, because there are a huge number of cars from, say, Forza Motorsport 4, for instance, that we've still not had on a Forza game ever since. I'd love for several of those to make a reappearance. I think it's like the Ford Pinto, the Lincoln Continental, stuff like that, basically. I'd love to have those on. I think there's a Shelby that was in there as well that we've had for a while. I think it's a CJ, the Cobra Jet. I'd love that car to be back on. It's easily one of my favourite muscle cars. But as long as we are getting added new cars to the series, it's still going to be a plus. Especially when this car's as good as this. All over the place. So it's the Alpine. Oh dear. Circuit race. More oomph out the corners, it seems, than the Alpine. I guess the all-wheel drive on this is helping. I don't think the car is all-wheel drive. Seems to struggle off the line. Oh, he got me there. Hit the wall as a result. That's the kind of overtake I can respect. It's done cleanly and it's not hurt me or crash me off the circuit or anything like that. Now he's behind us. We know what he's like, so keep an eye out for him. Very good into that corner there. Gaining. Come on. Oh, just made that. Oh, just clinched a 5th place again there. The Alpine made a disastrous mistake going around one of those corners, slipping and sliding everywhere, so that's why I think it's still rear-wheel drive. So yeah, another 5th place. Not high level, you know, position or whatever else like that, but these mid-level races generally are my favourite. I'm never striving or expecting to win, to be honest. So yeah, 5th place overall is pretty good. So yeah, overall pleased with that. So yeah, I feel like we'll try out some street racing maybe, or we'll stay in the road racing. I think we'll stay in the road racing. Just easier to stay in the same kind of lobby really, I guess. So yeah, we'll stick with this car as well, because I really like it. I want to see what else it can do on some other either point-to-point races or circuits, because yeah, it's a fantastic car. So yeah, we've got 2 more circuit races. We've got the Horizon Mexico circuit, and I can't say that name, whatever, and then a sprint, which is quite long at 4.9 miles. I do wish the races on these games were longer, but yeah, as you can see, the stats are pretty good as well. It's not got the best weight balance at 55% front and 45% rear, but still, it's reasonably balanced, as you can see by how it handles. Hint of understeer, like I said, more so than the standard car, purely because it's now got more power as well going through those front wheels. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm overall impressed by this car quite a lot, and yeah, it's a big surprise even in stock form how good this car is, because you know, it's the first properly sporty car MG has made since they were taken over by the Chinese company that they got taken over by. I think it was SAIC or something like that. But yeah, regardless, yeah, it's their first proper performance car for a long time. But I'm glad that they have done it, because it is a properly good sports saloon, even if it's not as, you know, dynamic as say a BMW, a Mercedes, or an Audi. You know, you're never going to get it drifting in its stock form or anything like that. But I am glad that they've done it, and they've also brought the XPower name back as well, because yeah, that's a name that's been attached to one of my favourite MGs, the SVR, which is glorious in so many ways, even if it is quite fundamentally flawed. Right, so we're up against some different cars here. The Audi has gone. I think the Civic is the only one there that we've had before that we've gone up against. So yeah, no Audi, no Alpine, no Lamborghini. So yeah, different roster of cars to deal with. So hopefully they're even more fun than the previous guys were. So yeah, let's see what we can do around a proper circuit. One thing I didn't mention in my review of this car, because I forgot, is the brake lights have X's in them, which I really found quite cool. Don't know if that would be legal at all over in Europe or the UK, but it still looks cool. Dude, why are you slowing now? Like it was blocking me there for some reason. This BMW here has clearly got all of the power, none of the handling. I'm just mad there. See what I mean? People do that all the time. I nearly swore there. I do apologise. That's why, especially on some races, I just wish it was all walled off, quite frankly, the circuit or the route or whatever, because then you stop people being able to go corners, but you'd also stop that kind of thing happening. Which happens a lot to me, for whatever reason. I just get targeted by everybody. I swear, if you're going around in a car that is less commonly seen or anything like that, it seems to be a target, because the same kind of thing happened when I was in, you know, the EVs that I was trying out, like the Xpeng or the Audi e-tron or stuff like that. That just seemed to again also make me a bit of a target. So yeah, we're gonna have to settle for our worst position so far on this episode. I think we would have got past the Civic and the Z4 there had we had more fair competition, but regardless, we were beaten off the track at one point, so at least we weren't last, so there is that, so yeah. But it's still annoying. How the hell did the Corrado beat me? Well, that was a lot of lag then, because it really wasn't ahead of me when we got across the finish line. Oh well, still went last, just. Yeah, this is why I rarely come online. It's because it's a lot of frustration and more often than not, right, quite frankly. Be a lot nicer if lobbies were a little bit more ranked, I guess. But even then, some people that play it constantly can still be unsporting, to put it lightly. So, yeah. I might not have sold anything really. It's a shame that some people have to be the way they are. Yeah man, this is another thing as well. Loading time seems to be quite a lot. It's trying to connect everybody that was in that race with anyone that might have joined while we were racing, so. And that can take a while. Just notice how this car looks a little bit. The grille reminds me of a Maserati, and the headlights kind of Mercedes-ish. So yeah, it's definitely a mishmash of different kind of cars in a way. The rear for me looks like the Infiniti Q50, the saloon car that had the Nissan GTR engine in it. In general, that's what that car reminds me. This car reminds me of, to be honest, because it's a kind of rarer saloon car. It's a little bit unusual in terms of its engine and the like, because you'd never expect a GTR engine to be in a saloon car. Whereas this is obviously a hybrid, front-wheel drive, 300 horsepower. So yeah, I do think if they're going to improve this car further, all-wheel drive standard would be a good way to go, and then upgrade the power a little bit maybe to complement that extra weight. Because you always need a more powerful car when you have all-wheel drive. It's you're powering 4 wheels instead of the usual 2. Alright, let's see if we can have a bit of a cleaner race on this one. Z4 completely missed that checkpoint. Peugeot. Leaving now on next. Wish people would realise when you've got the inside line that they should be making the manoeuvre to go around or outbrake you or something, because it's hardly fair to punt someone out of their inside line. Definitely faster than the TVR in a straight line, surprisingly. Pretty sure that had around the same kind of power as was in stock form. Moving the nuts off this car. I feel like we've got a higher top speed than the Peugeot does. Is it going to help it down this bit? Or maybe it does just about have a higher top speed. But regardless, that was a better race, much better race than the previous one. And a much better position as well. Doubled our position there. The highest position we've had in this episode as well. And we weren't all that far off third place either. That Peugeot was right on the cusp of being in our grasp, but regardless, fourth place is fourth place, so yeah, happy with that. Even though technically we should have had 7th in the previous race, because I had no idea how that Corrado made up all that time. But yeah, we've massively jumped up there from 8th place to 5th, so hopefully we can go up one more. If we can beat that Sagaris, and yeah, then we should be able to. So yeah, let's see if this MG can come through on its 6th and final race. Which I hope it does. Like I said, love this car. Really enjoy driving it, stock or otherwise. Let's see what it can do. Seems to be a bit quicker in terms of connecting this time. Yep. So if my memory serves me right, this is another circuit race. Come on. Right, go. Football drive cars there, scurrying off the line. Now I did try this in A-Class with only football drive, but yeah, it really struggled to get off the line. And I know getting off the line is not the the most crucial part of a race, given 3 laps on a circuit to quite a long point to point, should I say, to get round, but it definitely did hinder my chances, so yeah, that's why I opted for the all-wheel drive option. Didn't have to actually change all that much, to be honest. I did convert it to all-wheel drive, I didn't actually put PI a massive amount, which was good. Away, Mitsubishi. Why are you punting me? It's not my fault I can't go any faster. a Mitsubishi. Where we were, until the moron is crashing into me. Fuck was all that? Yeah, and then you quit out as well. Oh no, you missed the checkpoint. So he completely ruined his own race just to ruin mine. Well done, smart ass. Yeah, checkpoint. God, some people. Some catching up to do in this last lap. Yeah, this is my big problem. These laps do not last long enough. These races, should I say, don't last long enough. Especially on, you know, circuits or point-to-points that aren't particularly long. Some races can last only about 2 minutes, so yeah, this is hardly all that long either. Nabbed a place right at the end there. Don't know what happened to that Golf. But yeah, that Mitsubishi not only was slowing us down, but oh, we actually got 5th. Who else did we beat? By determination of the lag. The Z4, by the looks of things. But yeah, regardless, yeah, that Mitsubishi not only was slowing us down for the corners, braking way too early, having clearly no handling outside of, or nothing going for outside of straight line speed, was really just slowing us down. But yeah, regardless, still we came 5th overall, so we didn't lose any places after our second race. So yeah, that is all good. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this episode, despite some of the you know, stressy parts of it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.